money's like a violin. And you're just given this violin and you're just expected to know how to play it. And everyone pretends like they know how to play the violin. Oh, I love that. And no one can play the fucking violin and it sounds fucking horrible. Welcome to the Artful Dollar podcast. It's me, Ryan Roy, tattoo artist and financial coach. And today I have a very special guest. And it's someone that I've known for the past 3 years, but I've only known her through the interwebs. And I'm actually sitting with her in New Mexico. So I just real quick, I want to just give you how we met. We met in a Facebook group of financial coaches. It was a group of people that, let's just say, they were mostly like Midwestern, like soccer moms. That was my impression of it. Okay, no offense, like that's cool. Like we need those financial coaches.
Of course, yeah.
But then there was this other person, Nadine, and she was not like the rest.
No, I had like all this lipstick on and a crazy bandana. I don't know, I look different.
You look different, and you were like, I worked in a circus, and I like, and I was like, okay, this person's another weirdo like myself. The only other weirdo that I could find in the financial coaches group, and we immediately became friends, and our paths have taken a lot of winding roads, and now we are here together.
Yes.
Talking on the podcast. So
in New Mexico. So we just got back from an exhilarating hike.
Yes, we did.
It was really good. It was a really good hike. I was kind of struggling, but we got there. We got back. I thought you guys were going to leave me behind, but thanks for waiting.
I feel like hiking and talking, like it was the perfect way for us to meet in person and like have this conversation. I don't know why, just the energy.
There was also eating. So yeah.
There was eating. It was a magical experience. Yeah. It really was.
Continues to be. We've got lots of plans for today, but for now, we decided to get together and talk about something that kind of was the theme that kept popping up while we were hiking and talking and hiking and occasionally eating. The subject was the fear of abundance.
Yeah, that came up a lot. It's been coming up a lot for me.
Yeah, same for me.
I feel like it's one of those things that, I work as a financial coach. I have this like imposter syndrome or this idea that like I shouldn't struggle with those types of things when in fact that's completely not at all the truth. The fact is I struggle with them just like anyone else does, and I'm fascinated by it. I want to explore it, and I have a unique set of tools and a unique way to communicate about it, and that's what makes me a financial coach.
Exactly.
Like I'm diving into it.
Yeah, I mean, that's what deepens our practice as well, is the deeper we go in our personal practice, the deeper we can take our clients, because you can take people as deep as you've been, right?
Yeah.
And
you can't take them deeper than you've been.
No way. There's no way. There's no way you could do that. And what happens is that when you do this work, when you do the healing work, when you do all the things that we each talk about in our respective businesses and podcasts, abundance happens as a byproduct. Whether you're doing it intentionally or you're not, things are going to fall into your lap.
I also think we should start with like, what do we mean by abundance?
Yes.
Because that means something different to everyone.
Absolutely.
And the truth is there is no like, this is the right answer.
Yeah,
so
this is abundance.
I'm curious for you, Nadine, like in this moment, what do you want to create abundance to mean right now? Yeah. And it could mean something different tomorrow.
Absolutely,
but in this moment, what would you like to create when you refer to abundance? What do you mean?
So I like the idea that it's a fluid, malleable, concept. Like today, what I would want to create today in terms of abundance might be different in a month down or whatever. So for now, for me, abundance feels like flow, whether it's flow of ideas, flow of creativity, flow of money, clients. Yeah, it just feels like this never-ending well of energy and dynamic co-creation with the universe. That's what abundance feels
never ending. I almost hear, you didn't say the word, but I hear like infinite.
I like that. Yes, infinite.
Yeah. And our human brains can't. There's a show on Netflix, I think, right now called Infinity. I haven't watched it, but someone was telling me about it. Or Infinite. It's about the concept of infinity and how difficult it is for humans. I haven't watched it yet, so I'm botching it. But how difficult it is for humans to conceive of the idea of infinity. And so in abundance, there's an infinite flow.
So before I ask you about what your meaning of abundance, I kind of want to circle back, like a side circle, to say the concept, or like the idea that we can have infinite abundance and infinite ideas and creativity and money and whatever, kind of is mind-boggling to my human brain, for example. Like on an intuitive level, I'm like, of course, duh. But my brain's like, what do you mean? How much?
Right.
How much? Like how many quantities or like units is infinity? And that's like the struggle that I always find with creative people, like what our spirit or what our instinct is telling us to do versus what our brain is like, hang on, what? I can't catch up. I can't keep up with all this.
And then if you have access to infinite potential and flow, then someone else can't have access to it.
Well, that's where we go into the scarcity. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And to just recognize that that's not necessarily the truth.
Absolutely not. Yeah.
And I go there too, and my brain goes there. And then it robs me of feeling like it's okay for me to want to be in that state of flow of abundance. And again, we're not just talking about financial, monetary numbers, and we are talking about that.
Yeah, it's part of it. Like money is part of the abundance, but abundance is not money.
Yes.
So what is abundance for you, Ryan Roy?
Abundance. Well, I can certainly say that when we were on the hike, when we were on the tram going up, it was like the longest sky tram in the United States going up, and I was so like beautiful. Seeing the incredible rock structures and the trees, and I was actually very present to this profound sense of love from the earth.
Aww.
And I also have to say, the past 3 days, I've been doing this meditation that like is one of the most psychedelic meditation experiences I've had. And I cry and I laugh. And so like when we met for the first time in person this morning, we hugged, like my vibration was like all the way the fuck up here. And so I like started off today with this incredible presence of abundance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your energy is so open. It's quite obvious online and on the phone. Like we've spent hours.
But
I'm not
like that all the time.
No. Really?
Oh my God.
I am like that all the time now.
No, I'm not. And I think it's really important to acknowledge that.
Okay.
I mean, I've been going through so much in my life. I've been going through getting divorced and my one business growing immensely and the other business, my tattoo studio, like going through changes that have been both good and difficult.
It's like you have many children.
I know.
You have an abundance.
And then I have an actual child who is a starseed being from another dimension sent here to upheave my entire life in the most beautiful way possible. And it's challenging. And so what I've been dealing with a lot and what I've been coming up against recently is this fear of abundance. And I think it actually is, what am I afraid of? And what is the fear of abundance? Well, what is abundance? I think abundance is like unlimited authentic self-expression. And I think
I kind of felt that in my sacral chakra. Like, I like that.
Yeah. And then when you are channeling that authentic self-expression, I will look at my daughter and I was showing you that video of her dancing in the street. Yeah. This kid is overflowing with creative energy, and that is abundance. Mm-hmm. And then I think we grow up and we start to limit. We're like, well, you can have this, but if you have that, you can't have this. And then you certainly can't have that. Mm-hmm. And this is, you can have some of this. And there's all these limitations, these lines drawn in the sand in our minds that doesn't really exist.
No, they don't.
And it cuts us off from that abundance.
So from my experience, what I've noticed, because I take my clients through an exercise, and in this exercise, we'll look at their money dynamics throughout their lives. And our relationship with money started way before our first allowance or our first job and any of that. And what I see reflected time and time again, and I see that with myself, and I wonder if that's something that you can also resonate with, is that our relationship to receiving abundance from the universe, our perception of it really reflects our relationship to receiving from our parents, because that was our first receiving relationship. So I wonder wonder, with you saying all that, I wonder if your fear of failure came from a place where your parents really didn't want to see you fail, and that was kind of like the, like unspoken rule.
my origin story of my fear of failure, I think I was sharing this on a previous episode that I was doing alone, but Miss Fearon, third grade math teacher,
okay.
Basically I couldn't do the math problem in front of the whole class, embarrassed.
Okay.
I started crying. She told me to get out of the class. It didn't come from my parents. And then I put a lot of expectation and stuff on myself.
Grade?
Third grade.
Third
so
grade?
what, 8?
I would say it was way before that though.
Oh, there's
not
an earlier.
Not poo-pooing your parents.
No,
But our parents want the best for us, and sometimes we internalize that as like, oh, I gotta try harder.
Sure.
I don't want to disappoint them.
So I'll just be real honest. My coaching business is doing very well. I am now in charge of managing funds, amounts of money that I've never had to manage before in my life. And I hired a incredibly talented COO, Chief Officer of Operations. Her name is Thomai. Shout out to Thomai. She's worked with multi-million-dollar projects before. She knows how to do this kind of stuff, and met her on LinkedIn. And she's been helping me because, I'm a financial coach, right? I have systems in place that are good at managing like 5 figures a month. But the company is now reaching the point of close to 6 figures a month of revenue. And again, I'm not yet earning that myself. I have staff, I have employees, I'm paying out a lot of people for this, and just managing that. And then realizing that there's several people that their whole livelihood depends on my company is kind of like terrifying.
Of course it's terrifying.
Oh my God. Yeah. And then like, I don't even care about my income. I will like sacrifice paying myself to make sure that they all get paid out well and that they're taken care of. And it's just been this experience that I have never had to face before. And like we were saying before, like my income changed, but my mindset didn't change yet.
Yeah, I like what did you say when we were walking? You said like the plant is bigger than the pot.
Yeah.
You said it in a different way.
No, but that's essentially what I was saying.
Yeah.
Is the plant is bigger than the pot that it's sitting in, and I need to get a bigger pot.
Yes, exactly. And I've been having, it's not a bad problem to have. From the standpoint of me last year, what we're talking about now, because I'm about to share my experience with fear of abundance, I would be like, what are they talking about? Like, I'm just saying this for people out there that are listening to this and thinking like, what are they complaining about? Like, too much abundance. Like, honestly, a year ago, I would have been like, these people are crazy. But honestly, when things start shifting in your business and you're making a lot of money, more money than you've ever experienced before, it is really dysregulating. It really is. And it's a good problem.
It can happen on a small scale.
Yeah.
Like even when I started to go from, $3,000 to $4,000 a month, earning, roughly that range, to earning $6,000 to $8,000. Like it was a very different experience.
I went from making $2,000 or $3,000, maximum $4,000 a month, to a $10,000 day. Yeah. I nearly got a heart attack. Like I'm really grateful for it. And I was very much in celebration about it. But then 3 days later, I was like, what the fuck? What is this? I don't know what to do with it. Like my mind, or if you want to call it my ego, took over, or I call it the tyrant archetype.
Sure.
Like, what are you going to do with this? Is it going to happen again? What are you going to do? You want to do it again? So
What's
you have to
never going to happen.
It's never going. What if it never happens again? Are you going to save it? Are you going to spend it?
Yeah.
What is like this? Everything in my mind went like, blah, 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 and then my magician part, like my instinct, my intuition was like, it doesn't matter, because your worth is so unrelated to how much money you make. Whether you make money or you don't make money, your worth is the same. And that is the magic that when I leaned into that of like, oh, this means nothing. It just means that I'm serving more people, that I'm actually becoming clearer and I'm healing more, because for me personally, the more I heal, the better I express myself. So that was just a reflection of the healing work that I've been doing on myself, right? Like I'm able to reach more people and more people are resonating with my message. But then here's the thing, the past maybe 6 months, all the people that have been coming into my world, whether it's like one-on-one coaching or group coaching, we all have this same issue of like fear of abundance. Is this going to go away? Because everybody coming feeling is like, I'm making the best money of my life, but I'm having more anxiety and I don't feel like I thought I would feel at this point. And this is something we talked about over lunch, right? It's like, oh, Ryan, I don't feel like, I closed 15K last month. I don't feel like I thought I would feel.
in so many ways, I don't feel different than
it doesn't feel different.
A year ago.
Yeah, okay, cool.
All I feel is that I have more responsibility. I hope no one's hearing this like, what are you complaining about? We're not complaining. I know that everyone experiences this. I'm really grateful. And if we don't talk about this,
we have to talk about
these things. It's hard for any of us to grow. It makes it hard for all of us to grow.
It's true. I love that perspective. I mean, we all heal in community. We all heal as a community because in hearing somebody else's story, something inside of us feels seen, and in being seen, we heal.
Hey, all you Artful listeners, I just wanted to take a moment to say thank you for giving a listen to the podcast. I hope that it's bringing some value to you in your life. That's really why I started this podcast. And if you're getting something useful or valuable out of it, I just want to invite you to go rate and review this podcast. It really helps me out. And it also helps other people find this podcast so that they can get some value out of it. They can feel more free around money and just get some wisdom and some knowledge that we're trying to share on here. So again, I'm not really asking anything else of you other than to just leave a review and rating for this podcast. It really helps me out and it helps other people find us. So thanks and enjoy the show.
But that's not like the entire story of healing. It's part of it.
And even saying this, like I can hear my own fear of what someone's going to think of Ryan and saying, oh, your company's generating 6 figures of revenue.
And what are you bitching about? Yeah.
What are you bitching about?
Yeah.
It's not bitching, but I can feel that, and so I just have to acknowledge that.
Yeah.
Like, I think I had that fear even before that of like just like acknowledging how much money I make.
I feel the same, like just revealing. I think a few months ago, I was talking about how people think that by following your purpose, you're going to make less money, or like, am I really going to make money when I'm following our purpose and leaving like the secure 9-to-5? And I shared how my hourly rate went from $14 an hour in corporate America to $250, $300 an hour. That was back then. And I really felt this cringe inside of me of like, oh my God, am I really going to publish this? And like the next day I was speaking to one of my trusted friends and I was like, did you hear that? Was that gross? Like, did I sound like cheap? And she goes, I'm fucking proud of you for saying that. I know it was hard for you to say something like that, but it is, what's the word? Expander, right? Like I only knew that this is possible because Ryan and I, we started off together, and
we started at the bottom.
We started at the bottom.
I think in my first year of coaching, I made $300.
I think I made a little bit more than that. And I was like, oh, wow. But then you took off in like, I love the things that you do, but you are my expander. Even when I hear you speak, you're so transparent. And I'm like, wow, Ryan is so like open. You're like, I'm not open. He's so open, and that's also an expander. So we share these stories not to brag, but in hopes of normalizing this talk. But also, if you're feeling like, oh shit, I'm making the best money of my life, but I'm still anxious, a lot of self-shame happens. No, but a lot of self-shame happens because the voice of the inner critic, whatever, if it sounds like your parent or your teacher,
like you shouldn't feel this way.
How dare you? You need to be grateful, right? See, the thing is with emotional healing is that you can hold contradicting feelings at once. You can be grateful and be uncomfortable. So from a nervous system perspective, what we're talking about is classic dysregulation. So we have something called the window of tolerance. If the window of tolerance of our nervous system gets overwhelmed, whether it's a positive thing or a negative thing, our nervous system is going to go either into hyper or hypo. In hyper regulation, or you go into fight or flight.
I was going to say, like, too much good, too much bad, too much anything.
You're just playing with that window of tolerance.
And I always say to people, there's no such thing as the comfort zone. There's the familiar zone.
Yeah.
And if you stay in the familiar zone, you're still going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And if you step out of your familiar zone into the unfamiliar zone, you'll also be uncomfortable, except that's where you grow and expand.
Mm-hmm.
And when you stay in the familiar zone,
that's where you evolve.
And so that window of tolerance is sort of like the familiar zone.
Well, on a nervous system level.
Yeah. No,
right?
It's not a one-for-one, but yeah.
So too much money can... So this is something that you mentioned also. Too much money can make us feel like danger. So what happens is that we have an association and a subconscious association of like, for example, money is evil, rich people are evil, or like we belong to being artists and creatives. We kind of poo-poo people that have a lot of money and making a lot of money.
Or if you're an artist and creative and you have a lot of money, you must have sold out.
Yeah, exactly. You must have who did you,
right.
like, how did you get there? So for our primitive mind, and I say that like, of course, like from like a nervous system perspective, from the brainstem perspective, we're not talking about the cognitive brain, which is like the logical thinking brain. If we register this as we won't belong to the clan anymore, because historically, if you don't belong to the tribe, you're prey.
Yeah.
So when we make a lot of money, and that on a subconscious level could mean we no longer belong
to the tribe.
Yeah, to the tribe.
Wow, that's so fascinating.
Yeah, that's when your nervous system is like ding, 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 ding. No, don't go there. That's like self-sabotage. No more. So because self-sabotaging is protection.
Right, because it keeps you
in
the
with
smaller game.
Yes.
And I've often looked at myself in the past, and I think I've done a lot of work on it, but like, yeah, I was an amazing self-sabotager in the past.
That's your amazing nervous system protecting you.
Trying to protect me, yeah.
Your nervous system doesn't care about you succeeding. It needs to keep you alive. So you're alive, nervous system is succeeding, all good. Right. So what we do is the healing work. Part of the healing work is expanding that window of tolerance to be in negative emotions, because we're living in this 3D world and things that are going to make you feel sad are going to happen. So to show your nervous system that you're not going to die because you feel grief or sadness, because so many of the things that we do in life is to avoid a feeling. Like I look at people's spending and I would say in my mind, because it's like a little bit advanced to tell a client this in the beginning, but they get it in the end. It's like, all of this spending is happening because you're trying to avoid a feeling.
Yeah.
And it's usually sadness or grief or, like something that is not within your window of tolerance, like the quantity of it.
Yeah. So here's what I've been doing to deal with. First of all, I had to acknowledge to myself that I have a fear of abundance.
Okay.
I think that was like a big step for me.
Yeah.
Because I was living in trying to pretend like I don't have a fear of abundance. Like, I'm into manifestation and I'm open and I'm free. And like, I always had shame around it. And like, shame is one of the most blocking energies.
Yeah.
But shame cannot live in the light. It thrives in the darkness. And we don't talk about it. Anyone read, Brene Brown? When we shine light on it, it like can't survive.
Releasing Money Shame is the most downloaded episode on my podcast.
Oh,
yeah.
Whoa.
That's
okay.
shame, because the first thing, I don't know about you, but the first thing I always go through to crack is a layer of shame, money shame.
Yeah.
Because somehow we're been told like, why don't you know how to manage your money from the womb? Like, why? Right. Like, how? Oh, shit. Like, oh, sorry. I don't know how to freaking...
I always try to think, money's like a violin. And you're just given this violin and you're just expected to know how to play it. And everyone pretends like they know how to play the violin.
Oh, I love that.
And no one can play the fucking violin and it sounds fucking horrible.
Oh, you think you're going back to New York, huh? Everybody, if you're missing on Ryan Roy, know that he's here.
You're wondering where Ryan is. He's been kidnapped by Nadine. What's the address here? Please come and help me. Somebody, please save me.
Oh my God. I think like the moment I knew, I was so excited to meet you in person, because like we've been talking on the phone for so long, and we've like, you're just like a soul connection from past lives. And like when I first saw it, I'm like, yeah, I'm not letting this one go. We're just gonna hug for a while here.
We had like a 5-minute hug.
Yeah, we did.
Made everyone around us uncomfortable. It was awesome.
And of course, me all emotional and crying. So, in saying that you're one of my expanders, I want to say something that could be very healing for you. So, when you invited me to speak in your group, because your business is doing well and you're paying your staff well, you paid me very well. And the thing that I created for your group was like the best thing I've ever created, let's say. So in your abundance, you expanded me this way. You made me go out of my comfort zone to create the best presentation ever.
Yeah.
And it's because I don't know how to explain it. It's more of a felt sense than like, oh, he's paying me well, so I'm going to make a good presentation. It's more like the way that you care about your clients and the way that you care about your employees made me level up way more. And I'm a Virgo, so my standards are very high. So my standards for anything I present in your group are like 20 out of 10, just because of the energy that you bring into your business and your content and all of that. So your abundance elevated me. And in turn, I'm elevating people. And they're elevating people.
And I think that's so important for all of us to start to rewrite the script in our mind around abundance, around wealth, around being rich, or whatever it is. So this weekend, being in New Mexico, I got to go to Meow Wolf, which I have to say was like a religious experience.
Wow, I can't wait to go.
Blown away by it. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, it's this art installation warehouse. I don't know how to describe it. It was like created by these anarchist artists who realized that their art was never going to be shown in a gallery. It was too experiential. It was too out there. And so they created this environment, this psychedelic world. And there's like a story being told. And it's like a psychedelic experience without ingesting anything.
Wow.
And I was there and I'm like, I want my company, I want the Artful Dollar to fund art projects like this. I was so inspired, and I felt like a seed was being planted while I was there that I'm going to know how that seed looks in the next couple of years. I don't know what it means right now, but I knew something important was happening. And I want any abundance that I invite into my life to be shared, to expand, to grow, not at the cost of someone else's abundance, but actually, when a candle lights another candle, you don't take fire away from one candle. They both light. And I want my abundance to be that in the world for artists. And so I just want people to get like your abundance can inspire others, can call others.
That's what I'm trying to say. Your abundance is inspiring me. And your abundance is inspiring your clients. And my abundance is inspiring my people as well, my community and my clients. So when we do the healing work, sorry, y'all, it's not just about you. Doing the money healing work is a responsibility. So what happened to us is not your fault. It's not our fault, but we're not to blame and shame here. But we need to take agency, and we need to take the self-leadership and do the healing work, because it's not just about you. And even if you're someone who doesn't want to have children, like me, I choose not to have kids, but your healing and your perspective, your healed perspective and your abundance is going to inspire others.
I was talking to a client, young, in her early 20s, and grew up, in poverty and a lot of poverty in her family. And we were having a really powerful session about debt, about paying off debt. And there were some cycles, there were some internal things that were causing the external situation. It wasn't.
It's always like that.
It's always like that, right? It's all an internal game. And we were talking about how this isn't the work we're doing right now to like help you pay off debt so that you can, live the life you want to live, is not about you. And if it's just about you, that's actually not a big enough game to inspire you to do it. She was telling me about her family, and she had all these nieces and nephews. And I was like, think of the women in your family. Think of the 5-year-old niece that's going to be inspired by you creating wealth and abundance in your life, and seeing that that's now possible for her, because she doesn't see that from another, woman in her family, someone that she can identify with. If she doesn't see that, she'll never know that that she's capable of that.
Yes.
And that's the work you're doing. So it's never just about you.
It's not just about us. It really isn't about us. It's not also being selfless, right? Like, let's not be all like
absolutely.
selfless.
Yeah. Right. And I think a lot of the time our brain's thinking this either I'm being selfless or I'm being selfish.
And I think I love the way that you always, so on the hike, Ryan and I may have spoken about business here and there.
Maybe, just like a little bit. Hike was a business write-off, basically.
It was. We talked about business a lot. And what I loved about Ryan's perspective is both. Like, I said, do you think I should do this or do you think that? Oh, you can
why
do
can't
both.
you do both?
Yeah. Anything I mentioned, it became like, he's just going to say both. Like, why bother? But it just...
Because there's a limited mindset.
That is freaking abundance.
Yes.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
You know, like, why are you choosing? Like...
Right. We often think within a framework of, I can either do this or I can do that, and I'm going to have to sacrifice this thing in order to get that thing.
Mm-hmm.
So either I'm a selfless person that hates money and gives it all away when I make it because I feel guilty for having it, or I'm a selfish, cringy, wealthy, money grubbing. And it's like, you can actually be both, and neither one is good or bad even. And you can actually be whole and complete and transcend that whole paradigm into something completely new.
Absolutely. So just back to this whole like being abundant and then all of a sudden spending it all. So you know how we all often hear about people that win the lottery and then all of a sudden the money is just like they spent it all.
Like the statistics on it are like almost 100%.
That is a nervous, that is very, very explainable through the nervous system.
Sure.
That is the window of tolerance. Too much too soon.
Sure.
Just, I don't want to look at it like it's burning a hole.
Same thing goes for professional athletes and musicians. You know, it's the same thing.
It's the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's like burning a hole in their pockets or bank accounts. So might as well just spend the whole thing.
It's burning a hole in their window of tolerance.
Yes. Is this your first nervous system joke?
And so what do we do about it? I can tell you what I've been doing about it.
Tell me.
To talk about what I've been doing, I have to talk about the word cringe. Cringe. So I have been thinking a lot about cringe. And again, one of the reasons I'm interested in money is because it's like this thing that no one wants to talk about. It's the forbidden zone.
Oh my God. But it's just so juicy because it cuts through everything. Like, I love talking about money because no one talks about it. Everybody's scared to talk about it. But for me, it cuts through all the noise and straight to the core wounds.
Yes.
You know, you can't joke around it. Like, you can't say, yes, but I'm like, it shows your money behaviors tell you exactly how you feel about your self-worth. I mean, we can't beat around the bush.
Cringe is like that. Even the word cringe, it makes me cringe. Like, cringe. I don't know. Yeah, cringe. And what I think cringe is, and this is, I'm going to tie this into
laughing.
I'm going to tie this into how I'm healing my fear of abundance is cringe is, and this is my definition, I haven't taken this from anywhere. So cringe is when your inner child, your infinite, playful, abundant, laughing, silly,
your inner
messy,
beta.
My inner beta, right? Sees something that it's excited about.
Yeah.
And then all of those limiting lines in the sand that have been drawn as you grew up shame your inner child. This is all happening inside of you.
Yeah.
It's
on a
subconscious level. You are shaming your own inner child for being excited by that thing. Right. And so an example of this is this woman, Reese Hilburn, who I've been on her podcast, and she is really inspiring. But when I first saw her, I was like cringed out. I was like, why is she so free and expressive? Like,
she really is. I love her energy.
Yeah. But at first I was like, ooh. But I was like, why am I oohing that? What's wrong? What's wrong here? What's really happening here? And I realized like there's a part of me that just wants to be as free as she is.
Yes, of course.
And then there's something that's telling myself, no, you shouldn't that.
Is it like is there a shame of being jealous?
A shame of shaming myself for being jealous.
Yeah.
It's a multitude of things going on there, right? And so cringe is powerful.
Cringe is powerful if you lean in. If you don't lean into cringe,
right? If you don't lean in, you
if
just
you're like,
you just
if
judge
you say
things,
like,
yeah.
oh, cringe, this is gross, she's bad.
But I invite everyone listening to this,
Lean in.
anytime you find something cringy, just pause and just ask yourself, what in me is really feeling that way? What's really going? Because it's reflecting something back at you.
Such a fertile ground to lean into the cringe.
Yeah. Yeah, there's someone I follow on Instagram.
We're not doctors here.
and they're always posting these like, embrace the cringe. I'm like, fuck yeah, but also, ugh, but yes, but do I have to?
So if money cringes, if money makes it cringe.
Right. Well, if money makes it cringe, but even like saying good things to myself. Mm-hmm. Like telling, like simply, I was telling you earlier, me and Veda would get in front of the mirror and go, I'm doing great.
Oh my God.
And her little fist would go up in the air. Like, I'm doing great. And it's like, I almost cringe thinking about like, you're going to tell yourself that you're doing great. But like my inner dialogue is often telling me that I'm not doing enough. That the way I'm doing it isn't right.
Are you a Virgo by any chance?
I'm a Virgo.
You've got two Virgos here on the phone.
I'm not doing enough, and I should be farther ahead than I am. Mm-hmm. And what I'm doing now, it's this berating myself with negative self-talk.
Yeah.
And so I need to counteract that. And in order to do that, I need to embrace the cringe. I need to tell myself that, you know what? I'm doing great. I am doing great. I've been doing this meditation in the morning that my meditation coach, manifestation meditation life coach, Matt Cook, shout out to Matt, has been guiding me through. And I just tell myself, like, I'm doing it. I am doing it. And I envision the life that I want to live the day from morning till night. It is sometimes in New Mexico, part of the time. And I just remind myself, like, I'm capable of all this. I am. And I need to do that self-talk. And it feels weird the first couple of times I do it. And then I get into it. And I'm like, I can do this. And I'm like, I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of myself. I just repeat it over and over.
I am proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
But I don't tell myself that. And then I seek validation elsewhere in other ways. And it never is enough. And that's, again, the Virgo weird. Mm-hmm. I think we all can identify with that. But I had to embrace the cringe in order to heal my relationship, in order to heal my fear of abundance.
Yeah.
That's what the point that I'm getting at. Yeah. And that's been my practice now. That's what I've been doing.
Got it. Okay.
And it's been working.
So for me, my fear of abundance, I think I've started acknowledging it just freshly because this is all very new for me. Like just like this, whoa, okay, great. This is my new business now. Great, awesome. Yeah, I think I acknowledged it out loud just on our walk. So it's pretty fresh for me.
Yeah.
And you did point something out, and it is actually how I'm going to start helping myself with my fear of abundance is that I need more structure, meaning I need help. Like I need somebody to help me. Whether it's social media, whether it's an assistant, whether it's, I don't know, but that would, what's the word? Expand my container for receiving.
Yeah.
Right? So, and the more I receive, the more I can serve.
Yeah.
Because that's the name of the game is service for me. And I'm pretty sure it's a different word that you
I honestly
use.
think one of the most powerful things we can do is acknowledge that we need help and ask for help. It is
But it's so hard though sometimes, right?
But why is it hard?
Because we are told that we
created
need to
a narrative that you're supposed to do it yourself.
We need to do it. Well, yeah, I mean, there's some kind of like hero-ness, heroship. You're a hero if you're doing it on your own and like, look, she did it on her own kind of thing, like self-made woman or whatever person. But I didn't come at it from that. I didn't want to be like, oh my God, she's doing it on her own kind of thing. It just happened. And I just happened not to have any support, right? But I feel like I could deflect abundance if I don't have some form of support.
Yeah.
Otherwise, my nervous system's going to be like, no. Even if I'm like, yes, bring it in, my nervous system's going to be like, go to bed.
And acknowledging that like you deserve support.
Yes.
It's not that you need support or should.
Support
you deserve
is
support.
Opening a dream job for someone,
Yeah. my again, COO Tomai, she's almost like my money coach in many ways because I don't have experience dealing with the numbers and payrolls for people and tens of thousands of dollars going this way and that way and managing this and hiring systems and automation. It's like brought this to this whole other level, and I pay her very well to basically coach me and show me. We go over the numbers, we talk about them. And again, it's like, I'm a financial coach, but I never had to deal with this. And so I bring like my confidence around money, but also like my humility of like, you know what? I need help. I need help. And it's okay for me to ask for help. And I'm actually going to be more capable and more powerful in dealing with whatever life is throwing at me when I ask for and open myself to receive help from others.
But you're so open, Ryan.
There's more opening. There's always more opening to do. There's always limiting beliefs to heal. There's always mindset to expand. There's always opening to happen.
You know, I
always.
love the word mindset, right? It's my least favorite word. What was I going to say? But in you learning all these things, you're going to later teach others.
Yeah.
Right? So
I always tell everyone in my course, I say, I want every one of you to know, and I'm going to tell this to everyone listening to this, I want you to know, I want you to hear me telling you this, that you are capable of creating extraordinary wealth in your life.
Absolutely. Abundance too.
You are. And now there might be some little voice in your head that's saying like, Ryan's not talking to me.
Yeah.
And I want you to know I'm talking to you.
Actually, we are talking to you.
We're actually talking directly to you.
Exactly to the people that are like, that's not me. That's you.
Yeah. So just hear it. Just hear it right now. Just give yourself permission to hear that you are capable of that.
And if it makes you cringe, we've done our job.
Exactly.
Should we call this episode cringe? Cringe.
From cringe to abundance.
Oh, man. All right. You feel complete?
I feel complete. That was amazing. And I look forward to our next conversation.
Same. Well, we are going to go and eat some New Mexican food.
Hell yeah.
And thanks everyone for listening.
Yeah.
Thanks for tuning in.
If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us.
Yes.
Where can people find you, Nadine?
Where can people find you, Ryan?
You first.
No, you first. All right. So you can find me on Instagram at Nadine Zumot, NADINEZUMOT. Or you can go on my website, saveamillioncents.com. Ryan?
You can find me on Instagram.
Really?
Ryan.
And threads, huh?
Ryan.
You're all about the threads now.
Yeah, threads. I'm into the threads. Threads, in my opinion, and I don't get sponsored by it, but I think it's a cool Twitter. That's what it is. I think it's a cooler Twitter.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can find me on Threads and Instagram, Ryan Roy, ROI, tattoo, TATTOO. And I'm very active on there, and I invite you to feel free to reach out with any questions.
You are active on there.
Yeah,
I love your
social
stuff.
media is a form of self-expression.
That's something
it.
I
had to get
embrace.
over my limiting beliefs around social media and marketing.
It's all about mindset.
I just about mindset.
All right. We're just gonna keep going here. Bye, everyone. Thanks for listening. We're gonna go eat New Mexican food now. Bye.
Hey, I hope you enjoyed the show. Again, I just want to prompt that if you got some value out of this conversation, please go and leave us a rating and a review on iTunes, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you saw this podcast. It really helps me out and it really helps other people to find this podcast. I want more people to have these types of conversations around money so that we can all be more free and at ease and abundant and able to create the lives that we really want to live. So please share this and rate and review. Appreciate it. Thanks.